Greetings, B-movie aficionados.
Hello, welcome to A Couple of Flicks. I am Tristan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
So we had some technical difficulties before. This would be our second time recording this. So apologies if it comes across as a little scattershot, but I think we've got a pretty good idea of the flow of things.
Not the whole
so I'm
thing.
not going to worry about it.
It wasn't the whole thing. Just a chunk, just the first chunk. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we'll be fine.
Yeah.
But let's see. Before we get started, usually we talk about things we've watched like throughout the week. I haven't watched anything, and did either of you want to mention anything? Or...
No, just that I finished season 1 of Sopranos, and it was good. Continuing to watch it through, and then we just had a little small discussion of WandaVision. It ended. Last week or whatever, and it was good. I enjoyed it. Yeah,
it's real good.
Yeah, I still haven't watched it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. So, and then you mentioned that you saw Godzilla, right?
Yep, started the original.
Nice. Do you have any thoughts on the original that you want to share or anything? Like, was it different from what you expected, or?
Yeah, I kind of expected it to be shittier.
Wow.
just because of what I had seen before, but it was really good.
Nice. Yeah, the original is amazing. That I remember that, like, I think there's like two versions of the original. The American version, I think, like cut out like 10 minutes or something and like replaced it with like footage of Raymond Burr, who's really popular as an actor at the time. So, but a lot of people prefer the Japanese cut. I'm assuming that's the version you watched, right?
Yeah,
that's the better version. So anyway, it's a daunting series to get through, but there's some good ones, Okay, so yeah, to get started, we are gonna kind of talk about the one that you chose, right?
Yep. And that is Mutant Girls Squad.
Yeah. So I guess, do you want to read the summary and everything? Or?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, cool. That worked.
Rin, a young high school student, is an unassuming and awkward girl who's bullied at school. One day, while being bullied, she feels a sharp pain in her hand. Later, Rin learns that she is a descendant of the ancient Hiroku clan, whose members are mutants gifted with superpowers.
Yeah.
And I still don't know what her superpower was. Just basically a claw.
Yep,
Yeah.
like a Freddy Krueger hand.
Yeah.
These are pretty much the worst superpowers in the world that this group of girls have.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're the kind of superpowers that nobody would ever want to have. Mostly just like mutated body parts and really painful looking weapon orifices and giant whatever, it's crawling out of very unsavory places. I mean, it's mostly just a lot of that kind of shit, So yeah, not the good kind of mutant, the bad kind of mutant, the kind
gross,
that like you'd want to actually like be dead rather than be a mutant. If this is what being a mutant means. So yeah.
No sooner does she learn of this than her home is raided by anti-Hiroku soldiers. Rin's parents are killed, and Rin barely escapes with her life.
Mm-hmm.
After killing an entire shopping district out of misunderstanding and grief-fueled rage, Rin meets Ray, another mutant. Ray introduces Rin to a small ragtag group of mutant rebels led by a transvestite samurai named Kisaragi, who
Yeah,
who is bent on restoring the Hikuru clan's place in the world.
yeah. It pretty much descends into kill porn. Like after the first 20 minutes or so, it's basically just the mutant characters just wiping out humanity throughout most of it. You know,
Yep.
the aforementioned shopping mall slaughterhouse scene takes up pretty much half the movie.
Yeah, it just keeps going and going.
Just
Yeah.
a lot of mutants hating humans and a lot of humans hating mutants.
Yeah.
Kind of see where that goes.
Yeah. This movie is very much on the mutant side, though. It's not on the human side. The people who made this movie are pretty into human extermination, I think. You know?
Pro mutant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Under the instruction of Kisaragi and Rei, Rin begins training, wearing an iron mask until she can control her powers. While in training, the tentacle-armed Yoshi tells Rin about Rei's past. Only 3 years ago, Rei had been in a freak show attraction at a circus, and the only person to show her compassion and acceptance was a human boy who gave her a gold cross necklace. When the townsfolk killed the boy for loving her, Rei's hatred for humans was born. Rin later finds the necklace after Rei accidentally drops it after a training session. And I like how the training sessions were all the same thing and not superpower based.
Oh yeah, me too. Actually, that it was. You know, I feel like there that might have been like, even though it was kind of pointless, it was still kind of like charming that it was that they decided to even put it in the first place and actually kind of take it somewhat seriously. So yeah, even though most of the rest of the movie was just kind of just a comedy. So
when Ren achieves control over her powers much sooner than Kisaragi had expected, he orders her, along with Yoshi, to infiltrate an anti-Hikuru conference and attack a high-ranking general named Koshimitsu. Rin and Yoshi successfully take out Koshimitsu, but find themselves unable to kill some innocent surviving humans. Rei, under Kisugari's orders, kills the survivors. I think that took up a good chunk of that
pretty
chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, was that like chapter 2 or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another thing. This movie's in chapters, and each chapter is directed by a different filmmaker. So.
All right. Yeah. Something we learned after the fact.
Yeah. All three of us didn't know that when we watched it. So, and then finding that out, it actually kind of made the movie make a little bit more sense because the whole film feels generally pretty like all over the place.
Doesn't flow as well as it should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, Rin realizes that in spite of everything that has happened, she cannot turn against her human side. Oh yeah, she's half mutant, half human.
Yeah, plot twist.
Okay,
Her mom was actually not a human.
Yeah. And we're told we're told that through a dream, as well as one of the funniest parts I laughed the most at, because her the last image she sees of her dad was his head decapitated on top of a cake, and so she's like dreaming, and it's just floating around like Photoshop floating around because there's a lot of real bad CG.
It's like the worst.
And this is one of them. And it was just so funny. It was like, oh yeah, your mom was human.
Her mom, and I'm still laughing about the mom's death scene, by the way. Like, just because like it seemed like something that was done for like as if it'd be like a dream sequence in another movie or something like that, because like she gets blown up and then a bunch of people just bust in and start shooting up the place and stuff. It's just something that I've seen in like dream sequences and action movies and stuff, but in this movie it just kind of goes on and it's actually part of the plot. So
yeah. She manages to persuade Yoshi to join her cause to protect innocent humans rather than kill or subjugate them. Meanwhile, other Hiroku schoolgirls are being brainwashed to carry out suicide bomb attacks at various locations to kill humans.
Yeah. It's another thing that I like about this movie is the fact that they have to introduce suicide bombers.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Even when... Oh, go ahead.
I would say just even like just thinking back, like why didn't they just tell them to go use their powers?
Yeah, exactly.
It would make cooler scenes, I would assume too. Even
Yeah, definitely. Oh well.
Kisaragi kidnaps and drains the blood of the fervently anti-Hiroku prime minister, which grants him a large, grotesque, and superpowered body, which, like we said before, has got the acid breast milk.
Oh
again.
yeah. I mean, I wonder if all this guy's if all this guy's films have acid breast milk in them, because it seems to be something he's into. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah,
We'll just have to keep watching them.
I guess so.
Yoshi takes on the brainwashed mutant schoolgirls while Rin faces off against Rei. Rin manages to successfully convince Rei to stop her war on humans. When she returns, Rei's treasured gold necklace and triggers fond memories of the human boy who loved her.
Mm.
Rin, Rei, and Yoshi team up to defeat Kisagari and rescue the Prime Minister.
Yeah. So in the end, they end up being political heroes, which is
Kinda.
not what I would have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kinda.
kind of.
Because the last shot of them is them stomping him to death.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
They curb stomp him.
I totally forgot that.
He just says some stupid like misogynistic shit or something, and they just curb stomp him to death anyway.
Yeah.
So
That might have been my favorite part of the movie, actually.
Yeah, after still losing his arms and legs.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
still
After
alive.
he gets his legs melted off with acid breast milk.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's a good classic. So
Yep.
yeah.
That's the brief summary of Mutant Girls Squad.
Yeah.
I wish we recorded what we said earlier.
Well, I mean, let's
Yeah.
see. We talked about some of their powers. I don't know. Do you want to go over some of them again? Let's see. You got the
Sure,
acid or the fire coming out of the tits. You have or what else? Yeah, go on. Sorry.
We got katana hands, katana
Yeah.
tits,
Yeah.
chainsaw ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the chainsaw ass. You got the one girl with the tentacles.
Tentacle girl.
Of course.
Always
of
got to
course.
throw in some tentacles,
Yeah.
That's the best.
Got like a Siamese twin kind of thing with like a mutant face on her stomach.
Yeah. Some of the. Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say the one with the hands coming out the head. That the
All right.
head jumps off and is a little sentient head, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a weird one. Yeah.
Yeah. It really is like the worst mutant powers ever, Like I felt really bad for her dad, actually, to be honest. Just because he had like mutant nipples and mutant genitals and that were just like horrible things that are indescribable.
You know what? Thinking back, just it's very similar to like that Freaked.
Actually,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just like a Japanese take on it, like that whole squad.
Yeah, totally. I mean, although I'd have to say Freaked in some ways is actually more nihilistic than this one. Just because like I don't know, at the end of that one, like even though Alex Winter's character does get turned back human, there's still kind of I seem to remember there were a couple characters that were still like mutated, and then there's the whole thing with the talk show host thing, which ended up being like a conspiracy, and then like all that, like, so I don't know, like actually, and that's kind of I guess my main gripe with this movie is that like I kind of preferred the darker nihilistic tone of Tokyo Gore Police. This was a little
Yeah.
too comedic
Yep.
for me, so.
Yeah. Definitely more comedic than the other one.
Yeah.
Weirder.
Yeah. Although I still found much of it to be like pretty funny anyway.
Yeah,
Even though like
definitely
I would
still gave me a bunch of chuckles. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, overall, like it's kind of all over the place. It's not that good, but
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it. I'd probably give it like a 2, only because like I just preferred the way Tokyo Gore Police was, and also when I watched this, I had a headache, and so it kind of made it a little bit more of a miserable watch, So
Yeah. I gave it a 3 earlier, but I'm gonna give it a 2.5.
yeah.
Taking it down a notch.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm gonna stick with my 2, just because of it wasn't as good as Tokyo Gore Police. Seeing it first, and then seeing that one first, the disjointedness of the 3 different directors, and then my other citation or ding was just the CGI was dumb. There's more. They had more CGI at least. The practical effects were still good, but the CGI stuff was a little much in some parts.
Yeah. The CGI kind of ruined a lot of it,
Except for the slot machine dicing of the heads. Those are all funny.
The slot machine stuff was hilarious. I think let's see, was there any other CGI I like? I mean, I guess the tentacles up the butt thing was pretty funny too.
Oh, right,
I mean, I guess that was CGI,
Yeah. And floating around. It was a funny little shot.
Yeah. I mean, it looked dumb as shit.
Oh yeah,
but,
definitely.
But I don't know. I still would recommend it for people who want to watch weird Japanese movies and don't feel like. I mean, non-discriminating. Non-discriminating. If you don't mind watching dumb, stupid, gross movies, this is definitely an enjoyable one in that sense. So
For sure, yeah, I'd still recommend it to people that want to watch some weird Japanese gore movie.
Yeah. Get drunk with a couple buddies, be like, hey girls, want to watch some mutant guy or mutant girl or hey guys, want to watch some Mutant Girls Squads?
Yep.
It's better than Suicide Squad.
It is, honestly.
Yeah. Actually, I'd have to say the makeup in this movie looked less painful than the makeup in Suicide Squad, in my opinion. I didn't like the way the crocodile guy looked. That kind of grossed me out. Also Jared Leto kind of looked like shit too. So
of course, yeah. Famously, yeah.
Well, anybody else want to share any more thoughts on Mutant Girl Squads?
No.
Pretty much it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just about does it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well. All right. So I guess now we shall talk about your choice, Nick.
Yes, my choice was Dead or Alive, another video game adaptation. Because I saw that Street Fighter was coming up on the Worst 100, so why not prepare for it?
I can't wait to watch Street Fighter. I love martial arts movies.
Yeah, especially ones based on video games.
I know, they're just the best.
Oh.
I think Mortal Kombat Annihilation is somewhere on the list too, so we got that one to look forward to at some point as well.
Yep.
Oh, and actually, that's one thing I wanted to mention is that this movie and Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat Annihilation all have Robin Chow in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Nice little thread there.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So,
so why did you choose Dead or Alive based on the video game?
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's mostly because I am a big fan of the franchise. I got a bunch of their games right here right next to me just to show off. It's, the reason why basically I chose Xbox over PlayStation was because for a long time there were Xbox exclusives. I even got the volleyball games.
Yeah.
And then even I got some knickknacks for reserving the games over the years. I got playing cards, and then like just a little figurine. These are all like pre-order knickknacks. When pre-orders used to be good back in the day, instead of just now they're just cosmetic codes you get.
Yeah.
But,
So dumb.
Bullshit.
yep. So those were some of the last pre-orders I did just because of them giving away knickknacks and stuff like physical stuff instead of costumes and whatnot. Which is like for DOA 6, I don't even have a physical thing just because the series has gone downhill a little bit. And
Yeah.
then just the only like I kind of might just buy the regular edition of it just to have it. But I bought like the ultimate digital edition just because it came with extra costumes for the characters. Just they suckered me in, and being a fan of this series forever, I had to anyway. So,
Well, actually, the outfits are like, and the outfits and the costumes are actually one of the things that I really love about that game. Like, I think that those games visually look gorgeous, and I think the costumes have a lot to do with that.
yeah,
I mean,
they're top
obviously the
notch.
character models are great.
I mean, that's one of the selling points of it too. Is of course the fan service they put in. Like most of the characters, are. It's like in the fighting game community gets shit for being like the booby fighting game, but but it's still it's in my opinion the best of those fighting games of the the Tekken, Street Fighters, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It says the gameplay just has a nice flow, good reaction times, 1-to-1 like button combo type stuff. It just feels better than all of them, even though it has that stigma and whatever. It's like
I'm into the free spirited kind of atmosphere those games have.
Yeah, that's what drew me to it initially. It was just like, oh yeah, they're fun, they're having fun, and it's they take it just as seriously as you would hope. It's just like they poke fun of it as well. They make fun of themselves with it for most of it. And like the original creator, he was like, kind of a rock star in the Japanese dev world. He was like, wore sunglasses all the time and had like a leather coat and shit. And like, he just like, yeah, these are just fun games to, they're all about the fun and stuff. So, I mean, that's why I like them a lot.
Yeah, excellent.
So, that's my brief history of Dead or Alive, I guess.
Yeah. They're classic games. I still have posters. I mean, they're not up anymore, but I still have posters. And actually, maybe I don't know if you want them, I might be able to dig some of them out and send them your way. So
yeah,
they're like old. They're old like calendar posters.
Oh, nice. Yes, nice. Yeah, I'd be interested. Like, I have a poster, the Japanese print poster of this movie, actually, in my room hanging up.
Excellent.
I spent like $50 on it because it was like an imported poster from Japan.
Wow.
All right, I'll just fucking buy that. Like, even so, I even have the digital version of the volleyball game, the third one, just because it didn't release in the West. So it came out on Switch. You have to go through loopholes. I had to make a Japanese Nintendo account, which like still fucks with my Switch today. Like all the news, like the little news articles that'll pop up when I'm on my English account are still in Japanese. But anyway, I had to make it's fine. It's funny. I like it. But I to buy the game, I had to like make a Japanese account, like pay an upfront fee to, get Japanese Nintendo currency, and then buy it off of the Japanese eShop over there on the Switch and get it onto my Switch that way. But so I had to go through some loopholes just to get that game.
Yeah. Well, that happens, I mean, hardcore fan, so there you go.
Had to do it. So that is why I chose DOA mostly.
Yeah. Wow. What did you expect the movie to be, and did it live up to those expectations? I guess those are my two questions.
I would say honestly, I expected it to be worse than what it, just because of when it was first coming out, because I was following and, it from, announcement to coming out.
Hmm.
I can't remember exactly how it was released. If it was in theaters, I saw it in theaters and then like bought it day of DVD release as well, I'm sure, and watched it on DVD. So
Okay.
I've seen it a couple. This is the only movie on that we've done for our show that I've actually seen beforehand.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure. Maybe another one just that you guys chose, but the only one that I've chosen at least that we've seen before or that I've seen before.
Yeah. All right.
So I was expecting worse, honestly, because of the stigma of video game adaptation movies.
Yeah.
This one does, for as big as a fan as I am, it could have always could have been better, but does a nice westernization, or yeah, that's what we are, right? The West,
Yeah.
westernization of the what could be expected of a pretty straightforward telling of the story.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I also give a lot of props for showing just like all the secondary characters were all there for the most part, even if they weren't appearing, like, because the timeline's different, it's like just a separate universe type thing. It doesn't
Yeah.
have anything to do with the game. It has the plot lines of the games, or it's a separate universe. But they had like all the, at least nods to like basically the whole roster. You see them in the background, like all the background fighters were actually characters, none made up, and like even like the costuming and stuff was a lot cheesier, like cheaper. But the
Yeah.
costumes were like what they would look like in the game, just cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, that is one kind of issue that I think a lot of films based on video games have, is that when they try to adapt the visuals of a video game to movie format, it ends up looking kind of cheap a lot of the time, And so I do agree with you that the costumes in this movie looked a bit silly compared to the game, but at the same time, like, they did try to at least stay true to what the characters would generally wear, I guess.
Yeah,
I was wondering that because I'm not too familiar with the characters. I was like, are these how they look in the game?
yeah, almost for the most part. Hayabusa, no. Kasumi had like that. She had switched between like a white, like that blue thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's her signature look. Is that it's this? If you can tell, like.
Yeah.
So she had a cheap looking version of that, but I mean, you see cosplayer. At least I have seen cosplayers make decent looking. I don't know how Hollywood can't get a hold of one of them to help them out with this shit. Like, that's what I'm sure it would be even cheaper too. Like,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
yeah,
also the director of this movie, Corey Yuen, I believe his name is.
Yep.
He's like a Hong Kong director, and he's actually made some pretty good movies.
Yeah, that was one, like, again when I was against watching this from the making of this from like the start. I was like, oh nice, they got some guy that's made some decent stuff, so maybe it'll be good. So
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar. Do you know what he's good with, or
like
resume?
his films, or
Yeah, what was his resume? Yeah.
oh well, I mean, he's worked with Jet Li. He's most of what his work is Hong Kong, like Hong Kong movies. But
did, the Transporter.
yeah, that was kind of like his big Western movie, was the Transporter.
Oh, okay.
I was looking at his filmography. I haven't seen too many of his movies.
Yeah, he did like So Close. He did yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff. So like if I had a list, it'd be easier for me to like describe it, but I don't have one on me right now. So
yeah, but that definitely was one of the highlights of the announcements of when this movie was being developed. I was like, oh nice, they have a guy with a resume that you've heard of at least.
Yeah.
That didn't completely suck. Transporters were good and stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
Don't know if they came out before or after this. I'm sure at least one came out before, maybe a couple after or something. But
I think he only did the first one, and I believe it came out before this. In fact, the success of that movie might have been what gave him the street cred to be able to make this. I mean, who knows? But that's my guess. So.
yeah, so I guess from a story-wise perspective, it is similar to the video games.
Yeah,
And I'm just
pretty
going to
much.
be mostly characterizing. Like, how well do you know any of the characters' names from watching this movie at all?
Wait, what was that?
Like, do you know the characters' names?
Well,
From
okay.
watching this, at least, like
They kind of briefly said them at the beginning.
yeah, they
but
have that little invitation montage in the beginning.
yeah, and you had the Jamie Presley character who she's like, was she the one that was on the boat that gets ransacked by pirates or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's when that's when Robin Shaw showed up actually, and I actually thought he looked really hot, like as a dirty, filthy pirate, like with a beard and all that. I was like, oh my goodness.
I didn't even know who that was. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat, and he's in he's in Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun Li as well.
Okay.
But what were you saying? He looked.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I thought he looked, pretty attractive as a dirty pirate, So this movie's got a little something for the ladies too,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Also, I think Zach, or I think that's the character's name. At one point, shows his thighs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but anyway.
Yeah. So I guess Jamie Presley would have been the biggest get. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Like she's like the first cover, or like lead of the cover, but like her story isn't like the main story of, I would arguably say, this movie or the franchise in general. Like it's about the main story is about Kasumi. Basically, she's like the main character of this series for the most part. There's a lot of stuff with other characters, but it's all about that ninja clan and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, pretty much. And like when you say all that kind of shit, that is pretty much like what it is. The movie does kind of follow the blueprint of the like ninja clan with a past type thing, but
yep. So
but it was kind of neat to see that actor kind of play that role though.
Yeah. And it was she was one of the more faithful character to character adaptations too. A wrestler, an American wrestler is basically what she was, and that's a little more country than the video game. The video game is more poppy, but
yeah, I feel like this movie is trying to kind of make her a little bit more stereotypically American,
Yeah.
But then when you meet her dad, it's kind of funny because he looks like some kind of like WCW champion or something.
Again, good. Again, the costume's cheesier, but that is pretty much how he is in the game too. It's like the Japanese take on like a Hulk Hogan type character.
Yeah, I love it.
He was a wrestler, the actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Do you know which wrestler?
It's Kevin Nash.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't recognize him.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dang. Well, Eric Roberts is in this movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one's he?
He plays Donovan.
Okay.
And it's not going to be the last time we see Eric Roberts on this show, because he's in the Human Centipede 3. So.
Oh God.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to mention that.
Yeah, I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah, I know, right? Not a lot of people know it, but yeah, he's actually in that movie. It's like the most random casting ever.
Okay, so I'll go over the basic plot summary that I would say would be need to know if you're a DOA fan. Would be the whole thing with Kasumi trying to find her brother is true, but it didn't happen in a previous DOA tournament in the games. It was an attack on their village. And the reason why she's participating she wins the first Dead or Alive in the video game. She's the winner because she's hunting down the person that fucked her brother up and made him go missing. So that's basically the story of the first game. So that's in there. The purple-haired girl, Ayane, she's actually like the half sister of Kasumi. They don't mention that in this at all, that they're related, because I don't think they go into it at all of their relation, because which also makes her the half sister of Hayate, which is Kasumi's brother, who she's searching for, who purple-haired girl Ayane has the hots for as well in the end. And there is because it's a whole like reveal type thing as well, that they're sisters and whatnot. So it's kind of like a Skywalker, or not Skywalker, but Star Wars type. Luke and Leia, kind of not as. I mean, it's a hint of it in the games is like that. But other than that, there's really no romance at all in the games, except for like two of the side characters.
Yeah.
Which
actually, to be honest, I'm kind of glad, like, because I don't know, for some reason, like the idea of like romance and martial arts, like, I mean, it can be done well. I mean, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is one of the best movies of all time, but like most of the time, like I kind of just prefer that stuff to not like. I mean, if it has to be in a movie like this, like I'd rather it kind of be kept to a minimum, because usually when I watch a martial arts movie, I'm in it more for the fight scenes and stuff anyway. So
do it like a Police Story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love the Police Story movies, but yeah,
it's barely in it, but
yeah. But yeah, no, perfect example.
And I'll say like the other romance story also is one of the bigger detractors of this movie. It was the Christie and then that guy. I don't even know his name. I don't know his name because he's not a character in the video game franchise.
Was it like Max or something?
Yeah, something like.
Oh that. Yeah. Who was that guy?
Just like a partner of hers, because in this movie they made her a thief.
Okay.
Thief/assassin, but in the game she's just a hitman, like an assassin hitman. Straight up, no thieving. So the whole thieving subplot was stupid and had nothing. That was Hollywood made up. Like it wasn't in the games or anything.
You could kind of tell too.
Yeah, but the thing that they got right is like, yes, there is a DOA tournament, which is what they all participate in. They get these invites, thrown at them. They're like ninja star invites, and it is they want to test the best fighters of all around the world in their respective fields, except for a bunch of ninjas. You get a bunch of ninjas and then one of everyone else. Which is led by Helena. She's the roller skating girl in this. I don't know why they put her in roller skates. She's
yeah, that was weird.
She's
like, what are they trying to do, like a Boogie Nights?
I don't know. She's roller skating everywhere. It's dumb. I don't like what they did with her character at all, because in the games she's like more aristocratic-y. She's completely different character. She's like more like, I don't know, fancier. She's French. She just has like, she doesn't use swords to fight at all. She has like a more like an elegant dancing type fight style.
Yeah.
So that was, a crappy visualization. Another realization, I guess. And then the worst one easily is Hayabusa. If you know which one he was one of the ninjas, the ninja that was like to protect Kasumi. So
yeah, what was his deal?
Are you not sure how familiar you are with Ryu Hayabusa? Do you know him at all from the name?
mean, I'm not really familiar with the storylines of the games. Like I played the games like when I was younger, but I'm not I don't remember like any of the characters' backstories really, not
Right.
off the top of my head anyway.
So his character is actually Ninja Gaiden, you know, those series of games.
yeah.
These are a shared universe series. It's
Right.
Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive are shared universes, and
Okay.
so Hayabusa was that douche. He was such a douche in this fucking movie. He was like, you know, overprotective of Kasumi, like,
Yeah.
because his brother, like, in the games, his brother and him are Kasumi's brother and him are best friends, and
Okay.
he does ask Hayabusa to watch over her, but it's not like in this annoying, stupid way they portray in the movie. It's basically he just shows up when she's about to die, basically, and saves her. He's like a more silent badass because he's doing other world-saving things while just keeping an eye on her, basically. And there's no chance in hell that, like, because he's in Dead or Alive, he just shows up because he's a super badass, like he's a super ninja, and is what they classify him. Like, he would annihilate the floor out of any of these people competing, but for some reason he's like a little bitch. Like, that's all I can explain. Like, he's like overprotective of Kasumi, even though like in the game she's super powerful.
Yeah.
Like in the games, the story game thing of them in this movie, they're extracting info like with nanobot technology from the fighters, which is what they kind of do that in this. But it's more focused on the ninjas.
Yeah.
Like there is the corporation of DOA Tech, which is the one that run the tournament. Their whole backstory is like they're trying to make a super fighter, but they're just trying to get like see who's the best ninja. Basically, they don't really give a shit about anyone else. It's just like a ruse, a ruse.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so there is some truth to that, and they end up on Kasumi anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say even though like Jamie Presley's character gets like billed at the top, I'd say that her character is more like key here. I would agree with you. Like,
Yep. It's just there just to connect to the Western audience. I feel that they wouldn't get all like because the main story of the games is about the ninja shit, and hers is really just her entering the tournament and trying to be a multimedia pop star. Really, there's
which was pretty cheesy.
Like a bunch of fun side stories to the ninja stories is what the games are. But I mean, yeah, that's the basic rundown of like characters and differences and whatnot.
Yeah. You do have the whole thing with the needles in the neck.
I mean, that's not really in the game.
That's not in the games, but
like, it's a ninja thing.
Yeah, and you know they did put that in this movie rather graciously. So
yeah.
And the way it happened at the end was pretty funny. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, spoiler: Eric Roberts gets blown up. You know.
Yeah.
It was like the most hysterical way.
And the way the tournament works is kind of similar. I mean, but instead of like they're not all sent to one resort like they were in this. It's more of a Street Fighter-esque. You know, if they find them, you're sent. You know who you're supposed to fight, and you got to go find them wherever they are.
Yeah.
Until the last rounds are held in arenas and shit. But there's that. I don't know. Some more fluff was they had a nod to the volleyball games.
Yeah. Oh, that was another part that I thought was really funny because like they're playing volleyball, and you know while that's happening, it's cutting back and forth between the other guy, you know, traversing the tower, and then the star winds up in the volleyball, and she catches it and she looks at it and it like shrinks and she's like, I gotta go, and then she just darts off.
Yeah, just some random ninja star. Yeah, popped it. It was funny though. And, like, the announcer for that was Zach, and in the volleyball games, he's like the way those games, the backstory for those games are very flimsy. He wins a lot. He wins it big in the casino, buys an island, and invites all the female Dead or Alive contestants there.
That's awesome.
Saying that it's going to be another like fighting tournament, but it's a volleyball tournament instead, and he just tricks them.
It's like the most like Japanese plot ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And that's
great.
one thing that I'll say is like since this is definitely a Western made film, it's they like in the games, all the American characters, which are, the Tinas, the Basses, the Zacks, they're all American and done caricatures of America. But in this, it's the opposite. They're the more grounded kind of characters, whereas the ninjas are a little bit like what we portray ninjas to be, kind of.
Yeah, like hooded dark figures that throw shurikens and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in the games, they're using like teleportation and shit. There's like none of that.
Yeah.
It's just them on high wires, and that's about it.
But teleportation would have been so much cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Like, actually, if there's one thing this film needed, it was more sci-fi elements and fantasy elements.
There's definitely.
I think, I feel like this movie was a little too grounded in reality, for the type of movie it was, which is like a shameless martial arts movie. Like, I felt like they could have really like amped up the cheese factor, But I mean, in a way, I can understand why they didn't, because I'm sure they were afraid that if they had done that, like, they would have been alienating for whoever would have watched. Except it doesn't really make sense though, because they want to make it for a Western audience, but I do kind of feel like the only people that would want to see this movie would be like people who are fans of the game, or people who are just big fans of martial arts movies. So I don't know. It does seem a little silly to kind of aim more for like a Western sensibility, but the fight scenes I thought were awesome though.
Yeah, they had good fight scenes, I'd say.
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I like these. I like the fight scenes in this movie a lot. My favorite was the one with them like going up the steps, and
the steps or the towers.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite one.
Yeah, I like the one with I don't know, Hayabusa. I think it was another step scene. Was that the one you were talking about? Is it just him going up steps, or just? And it was also on like I don't know, platforms and shit too. He was just climbing up. Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
climbing and jumping around. So
yeah, lots of high wire.
Yep.
Techniques.
So I mean, then the tournament continues. It basically ends with the ninjas. Shit, it was Kasumi, Hayabusa. They all get captured. Like 4 of them. Tina and did Helena get captured? I don't remember the other one. No, she didn't, because she had that other fight.
Yeah,
Christy.
Like,
no, wait, no, she was
there
doing
was that Weatherby dude. Like,
yeah.
And then there was that whole part where like they went off on their own, and like I don't know, there were like 3 different things happening at the end. So.
Yeah, it was a bit jumbled at the end.
Yeah,
and they
kind of like Enter the Dragon.
Yeah. So yeah, they
good.
Instead of making a super, and then it ends with like that fight scene of, instead of like a super fight, like a because what they do in the games, it's genetically altered, like clones and shit like that type stuff.
Yeah.
But instead, this time it's just glasses that the main bad guy puts on and wears, Donovan.
Yeah,
which is so fucking stupid.
The glasses thing was completely stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It kind of reminded me of the whole thing in what was it, The Incredibles 2, with the hypnosis glasses or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, something about glasses in a villain plot just seems like a recipe for a disaster, because it's so easy to get somebody to just take the glasses off or to knock the glasses off. for
Which
some
is what
reason.
happened
Yeah.
in this.
Exactly. And as soon as
Seems
that
like a-
happens, it foils the plan. Oh, yeah, go on.
I was gonna say it seems like a very 2000s thing to do with that style of glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The shades.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else happened? Yeah, they knock his glasses off. He gets a needle in the neck. And then there's also something about like money, like the
Yeah, that's another
one
thing
dude's.
that I just didn't
Yeah, that
like was the money,
Yeah.
trying to steal the money and whatnot, because that's not at all in the games. Like
Mm.
Christy is like that character. Is more of a femme fatale type.
Yeah.
So she's not really a thief. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
that just bugged me as well.
Yeah,
She's one of the
I
cooler
hated
characters
that
too.
subplot. Yeah, no,
She's a lot more
totally.
cold. She would never date a dude. She would just she's a lone wolf kind of assassin.
Yeah. And that would have been more interesting. I really didn't like what they did with that character. I thought it was kind of lame. It kind of reminded me of something out of like a Steven Seagal movie or something. Like, what was the one where that guy's like trying to transport like how 100 or 1 million or 10 million gold in gold or whatever, and yet somehow all of that gold is contained in a crate, in like one small crate or something. Like, it just, I hate stuff like that, you know.
Yeah. And like, oh, and then there was, so again, I mean, that's basically it. So I'll just go on some little ramblings.
Yeah.
There was so Victor Donovan, the main guy they fight, you never really see, or he's not a character that you fight or see much in the games. He is a main bad guy because he's doing all that bad,
Like evil shit.
the evil background shit. Yeah. Helena's dad, Fame Douglas, was killed by an assassin, which they make out in this movie to be B Bayman, which is I mean, that's his name, which is who it was, but for
The way you said it was funny.
Yeah. But for 2 or 3 games, the implication was that it was Christie. And I actually don't even remember if it was Bayman or not, but it wasn't Christie, but the implication was, and she kind of led her on to think that it was her as well. So there's a lot more intrigue and stuff, I'm just saying, in the games than this.
Yeah.
But they do hit the points, at least, as far as something could adapt as a multi because they go over most of the games in one movie. So
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not as big a train wreck. It's not as big a crunch adaptation train wreck as like The Last Airbender, you know, for example. I mean, this, I would say, at least had, I mean, I wouldn't say it was entirely well refined. But I mean, at that point, but at a certain point though, I mean, I'm mainly in it for the fight scenes, and there was plenty of them in this. So
yeah, and I liked them. It seemed like a lot of the actors did their own shit too, from what I could tell.
Yeah,
Did at least a bunch of their stunts, so that was cool too.
Yeah.
I was surprised by Jamie Presley doing all that.
Yeah, she kicked ass.
Me too. Yeah, she was actually pretty. Like, she, even though like her character like had zero depth, she was, well, actually none of the characters really had much depth, unfortunately. At least not as much depth as they could have had. But regardless, I still feel like she had like a likable personality, and she actually, I mean, I didn't really think the acting was very good in this movie, but she actually did a pretty decent job, like in her role. Like, I think she got the material,
Yeah,
you know? Or at least understood it a little bit. So
yeah, I'd say she would be the standout of it, even though her story wasn't much of in the involvement.
Yeah, her story was kind of fell flat on its face a bit, but oh well. That's kind of what most of the plot lines in this movie sort of, I don't know, some were all right though. I didn't mind I didn't really mind any of the whole backstory with the kidnapping or whatever. Like I mean, it was cheesy. I've seen that in like a million movies, but I still, I don't know. It happened at the right time in the movie. I thought, like, I can always enjoy little flashbacks like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to say about it?
No. I mean, I'd say that just about covers it. I think.
Okay. What about you, Zach?
Um, I was expecting it to be worse, like you said,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was decent. Had some good fight scenes. So entertaining enough.
Yeah, I liked it more than I thought I would as well. And like basically like both of you guys, I do think that the action really made up for the lack of much else. I mean, not to like say that this movie like didn't have anything going on or anything like that. It's just that like it's hard to adapt a video game into a movie, you know, because you have to stay at least somewhat true to the like the material and like the style and stuff, but it sometimes when the style sort of clashes with the cinematic art form, you have to sort of make certain compromises that may not necessarily work out in the film's favor, or at least in the logic of the film, you know. So as far as adaptations go, like I think a better one could have been made from Dead or Alive. Like I think a much better one could have been made, you know, if had it been had it maybe been made more by like people who had a like better familiarity with, you know, some of the, I guess like the key things that you were sort of going over. But I do think that as far as the action choreography goes, this is about as good as an adaptation can get, or at least close enough to the fighting, like the way the fight scenes in the game are like, you know.
Yeah.
You know, maybe a little too cartoonish at times, but not horribly so. I mean, the games have a sense of humor, so at least they got that right.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is like an anime type game too, so it's like
yeah,
cartoony fighting as well.
yeah. I mean, it was a likable movie. It wasn't really like good at all, but I still thought it was like fun. I mean, I think the folks who made it knew like what they were aiming for, you know, kind of like with a lot of these types of movies. I mean, it's hard to go wrong with a martial arts movie if you at least know what you're doing as far as the fight choreography goes, you know. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what was your rating for it? Was it?
Probably 2. I mean, I wasn't like crazy about it. I might watch it again, but I really the fight scenes are what made it worthwhile. You know, I kind of am going back between 2 and 3, but I'd say I'm closer to a 2. You know.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I'll give it a 2.
Yeah. But what do you give it?
Okay, so I mean, I'm going to be more favorable to it, just because of like, yes, they could have done better with the story, but ultimately that would probably take a series to do. So considering they crunched down like 3 or 4 games into one movie and told it reasonably well with the crunch they did, and then also just had a bunch of like straight up, it wasn't like a bunch of like just nods to the actual fans of the games, even if, you know, they had like all the fighters were actual fighters from the games and shit, and you at least get to see them every now and then, you know.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a quick 1-2 punch of the character losing, we at least got to see like, oh yeah. So, and there's like, it's a 20-30 character roster, so you're not going to see a movie with that.
Yeah.
They hit the right points in a one movie thing again. So I mean, the box says for itself, the best movie adaptation of a video game so far.
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah, that is pretty true.
I would say, yeah, it's definitely one of the better ones. I'd say it's about on par with Mortal Kombat, the first one. And I don't know, what other video game adaptations have there been? Like,
I mean, the Resident Evil series.
oh yeah, those
I-
are all over the fucking place.
I really like the first one. That would probably
Yeah.
be my number one pick. Would be the first and only the first Resident Evil movie.
Yeah, the first one I liked too. So.
But yeah, and I mean, just as an actual fan of the game and I respect that it didn't completely just shit all over all over
Yeah.
it. So yeah, I'd give it a 4-star.
Nice. Excellent.
Out of 5, right? That is what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
4.
What would you give it on out of 10?
Probably like a 7,
Okay. Okay.
because the fight scenes were good too. So that
Yeah.
bumps it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. I'd say fight scenes were about as good as it gets when it comes to these kind of movies,
Yeah.
So not the best, but excellent overall. So all right. Anything else? Or?
No.
That's it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna try not to procrastinate any longer because now I have to talk about my fucking movie. All right. So I love how I said that I don't want to procrastinate, but now I'm procrastinating even more. But
Yeah.
the movie that I chose was the 2006 Richard Kelly picture, Southland Tales. Southland Tales is the film. It's his sophomore picture that he made after Donnie Darko, which I think he made let's see, because Donnie Darko came out in 2001, right? So Southland Tales, I guess, took him about 5 years to follow up with. That should probably give you a decent idea of what the scope of this movie is, because he after Donnie Darko, a lot of people were kind of anticipating what he would sort of do as a director and kind of what direction he would go in. So he made this movie Southland Tales, which came out and it premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, where it was booed off the screen. I guess people hated it really quite a lot, and so as a result, he ended up removing I think 16 or 17 minutes from it, just to kind of quicken the pace, and to also just sort of make the movie a little bit simpler. Although I actually kind of feel what was that?
I can see that with the pace too, because I wrote down I actually randomly just paused just to go to the bathroom or something. It was basically directly halfway through, and I felt that they were just barely getting the plot started. Because there are a lot of characters in this, and a lot of it was just exposition up front for the.
Yes. This movie has an insane degree of backstory, and it has an even more insane degree of setup. The first hour and a half is pretty much just mostly setup.
Yep.
And on Wikipedia, there's a good summary of the first 10 minutes of the movie, but they kind of fail to cover the overall scope of the picture.
It's pretty short synopsis on Wikipedia for this movie.
Yet, would you like to read it?
If you want me to, I can read it.
Sure. Maybe that'd be a good starting off point.
Okay. On July 4th, 2005, in a fictionalized United States alternate history reality, 2 towns in Texas, El Paso and Abilene, were destroyed by twin nuclear attacks, killing thousands and triggering a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions, sending America into a state of anarchy and hysteria, as well as a third world war, a fictionalized version of what the nation may have become under the War on Terror, with the U.S. government reintroducing the draft.
Okay, yeah. Which that whole aspect of the draft doesn't even become important until the last maybe 45 minutes or so. But
yeah.
Yep.
The Patriot Act has extended authority to a new agency known as the U.S. IDENT, which keeps constant surveillance on citizens, even to the extent of censoring the internet and requiring fingerprints to access computers and bank accounts.
Yeah, so things that have actually kind of become pretty close actually to reality in certain countries and certain places. So
yeah. In response to the recent fuel shortage in the wake of global warfare, the German company Trier designs a generator of inexhaustible energy, which is propelled by the perpetual motion of ocean currents, called fluid karma. However, its inventor, Baron von Westphalen, and his associates are hiding the fact that the generators alter the ocean's currents and cause the Earth to slow its rotation, and that the transmission of fluid karma to portable receivers via quantum entanglement is ripping holes in the fabric of space and time.
Yeah. Again, these are things that like, these are plot points that are established like pretty much like right off the bat, but then they don't become important until later in the movie. Like it's something that like is unusual, because it does come across as just like needless backstory with almost like little to no importance, you know? And so there's a whole chunk where like the plot kind of goes into another direction, which I'm sure is what the next paragraph is about.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
The next and last paragraph.
Yeah.
In near future 2008, Los Angeles, referred to as the Southland by locals, is a dystopian city on the brink of chaos, overshadowed by the growth of an underground neo-Marxist organization. The film follows the crisscross destinies of boxer Santeros, an action film star stricken with amnesia, Krista Now, a psychic ex-porn star in the midst of creating a reality TV show, and twin brothers Roland and Ronald Taverner, whose destinies become intertwined with that of all mankind.
Mm.
The Taverner twins are revealed to be the same person by the engine. Yeah, this just skips right to the end.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Spoilers.
Whoops.
Yeah. The Taverner twins are revealed to be the same person by the engineers of Trier, duplicated when Roland traveled through a rift in space-time, while Boxer has become the most wanted man in the world despite his political ties and having the fate of the future in the form of a prophetic screenplay foretelling the end of the world in his hands.
Okay, so yeah, so we got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who I guess is this pretty powerful political figure who also happens to be an actor, some sort of white, like heavy, strong, like right-wing ties to the government, you know, which the film, you know, constantly is reminding us that it's taking place during an election year, which it is, because it's 2008.
He's married or engaged to some senator's daughter.
Yeah, Mandy Moore.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's just the nasty, like she's just the nasty, horrible, like angry lady. Like I don't know
Yeah.
what her problem was, but like she just seemed rotten. I mean, pretty much all the characters in this movie are pretty rotten, but like, yeah, Mandy Moore. It's just kind of funny to see her like call like Sarah Michelle Gellar like the C word and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Some funny shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So Sarah Michelle Gellar, Krista Now, she has like this reality show. Actually, okay, so this movie is also kind of a comedy.
Yeah.
But the comedy, like it's some pretty like it's heavy satire, like aggressively so, you know, where it's just like it's almost like the characters are just almost like self-parodies to a certain degree, and which in a way sort of puts this in the realm of spoof, although I don't really know what it would be spoofing, but there is a certain like level of like aggressive facetiousness that this movie has that it's constantly sort of reminding you of. You know, you got the Sean William Scott character and how he's sort of involved in this police force, and like how he gets kind of pulled into this other sort of conspiracy involving like this like racially motivated like police violence, that which of course the main character, the boxer, the Rock character, ends up getting like kind of sucked into. And then on top of all that, you also have Miranda Richardson hanging out in her room with all these TVs, looking at all this crazy shit going on throughout the world, you know, because you have somehow this worldly device created for the purposes of I guess containing the environmental crisis, which was brought on by the nuclear attacks. But then, you know, as a result, you know, it causes not only the time rift and the whole equilibrium of the world to be thrown off, but it also ends up eventually making people go completely insane and start killing each other. And then let's see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then also, oh, go on.
Yeah, that was a plot. So one of the main plots is for the Rock. He's yes, an action star, but makes a screenplay that depicts future events.
Yeah.
And his screenplay basically is the world starts to slow down spitting by 0.0000, and Sarah Michelle Gellar was like the co-writer of it too, and she was like mouthing all the zeros. 0.6, you know.
There's lots of funny dialogue in this movie.
Yeah, because it is more comical than Donnie Darko, even though it has that basically the same weird teleporting, time travel-y, alternate dimension sci-fi shit of Donnie Darko with a more comedic overtone instead.
Yeah.
But anyway, his plot was it's slowing down the Earth's equilibrium, or the rotation of the Earth, that makes everyone's humans' brain chemistry equilibrium go off balance.
Yeah.
Crime and everything is all rising and making people crazy.
Yeah.
Which is what basically happens over the course of the movie. And I think they say early on, so I don't know if it's necessarily a spoiler, that because JT is narrating the whole goddamn thing.
Oh yeah.
And I think that was one of his first narrations, was that The Rock, they used The Rock's character's name. He made this script that turns out to be true, and I think that's pretty early on. He narrates that out, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, Justin Timberlake's kind of like the Virgil type character. Like, he basically is just kind of leading the audience through the plot, but then eventually he actually kind of becomes a character too, and he actually affects the plot like pretty significantly actually at one point, which I you know, I'm not going to get into that quite yet, but the Justin Timberlake's narration though was unusual, because like they establish who he is like pretty much immediately. He's basically like this he's a deformed war veteran who used to be an actor, and now he's a junkie, and that actually, like, the fact that he, you know, is sort of down on his luck is like sort of part of like what happens, but it's not really like necessary to the plot. It just so happens to kind of be his character. But it's kind of unusual that this story happens to be narrated by him, you know. So
yeah, I mean, I guess they didn't need it, because there were a bunch of narration points that were just stupid. That, like, again, narration I think is a crutch for weak writing. But like there was a point where one of the neo Karl Marx, whatever,
the Marxists,
the rebel people, like one of them was infiltrating that ident thing, and he got bugged by being inside, and Justin Timberlake basically said, yeah, he got bugged while he was in there. But like, if he didn't narrate that, it was obvious as well. I mean,
yeah,
it was needless narration. It was like showing us while he was telling us. I was like, you don't have to narrate this. Like, I get it. He was bugged because he's, you know, working in there.
It's unusual, yeah.
There's too much narration in general.
There was, even for characters that really didn't even need narration. Like, there's another subplot involving this John Lovitz, like, police officer character, who ends up actually being the instigator, somewhat. Well, actually, no. It's a little bit more complicated than that, because this Marxist group. Okay, so it's weird too because the first half of the movie, like, all right, because I did rewatch this movie, because I just felt lost,
During
and
this
so
week, or you mean like you watched it more
yeah,
than once?
I ended up watching this twice.
Okay.
Um,
I've seen it before, and then
yeah,
and it was bringing back. Okay, yeah, I remember.
yeah. I'd
So
seen it before too. Back when I lived in Kansas, I saw it, and I don't remember much about it other than being confused by it. And then rewatching it this time, like, I watched the longer cut, the con cut, which, from what I understand, the main stuff, like the main difference between the two cuts, is the Miranda Richardson material, the girl in the room with all the monitors. Like, there's quite a bit more of that in the con cut. And then there's just like a few other things. Like, it basically, like, it helps make the plot like make more sense, but it's probably not really necessary to watch that version, you
I
know?
got the plot.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't that like a lot of people were confused with Donnie Darko as well, but I feel like I had a grasp on it the first watching of that,
Yeah.
even though
I mean, I got the plot to a point in this. It wasn't until around like an hour 20, hour 30 that the film started to just go completely off the rails with just the number of like characters that were suddenly being introduced, and like okay, so that one actor who looks like Jesus, who I never remember the name of, Lou something Taylor. I don't know. I forget what his name is, but he shows up in this movie roughly around the hour and a half mark, and suddenly becomes like an important character. And then there's like this reoccurring theme of like suicide, and this one
pimps.
line that gets repeated, that I don't like, I'm a pimp and pimps don't commit suicide. Like,
Yeah,
this is so stupid.
like I don't know how because again, this is the Donnie Darko guy's second movie he made.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that kind of like that feels like a commentary on him making a stupid line that like I don't know what it was in Donnie Darko, but in this one it was "This is how the world ends," that famous quote with the whimper, not with a whimper but with a bang.
Yeah.
They say that throughout this movie, like
yeah.
I don't know what it was with in Donnie Darko, but they had something similar, I want to say, with that. Just
Yeah. Well, I mean,
a cryptic kind of like message.
I do remember like some kind of like doomsday thing. I mean, this movie's all about the doomsday prophecies too, but I do remember there was something in Donnie Darko that was kind of like doomsday related. But this movie went like this zelda did that times 10. So, and also that quote said by that one lady with the weird voice, the Zelda Rubinstein, I think her name is, R.I.P. It's like she misquotes the T.S. Eliot line, this is the way the world ends, not with a bang but with a whisper. She reverses the whisper bang part. And then let's see, then they keep quoting Robert Frost too. Like, they do that like several times. And like William Blake, they quote several times in this movie, just sometimes for no reason.
They quote the Bible a bunch.
Yeah, like Revelations, and I don't know. It's such a strange movie because the vision here is just so freewheeling. Like, you have The Rock pairing up with Sean William Scott in this whole situation where these two I guess like beat poet musician Marxist type people are like doing some kind of demonstration, and so that's when they get shot by the racist cop, the John Lovett's character, which turned out to be
I like that too. Was Amy Poehler was one of them?
Yeah. It's funny. Check this out, pig, or whatever she said.
And
like,
that whole argument was funny. Like, they were talking about, how do they improv that? And like, I know Amy Poehler was a big improv person from Chicago and stuff. So I'm assuming that was some nods to that. And was that guy? He was from The Wire, right? The one she was Like
I think so. He looked like one of the characters.
Marcel or
Yeah.
Stringer or something like not Stringer, but one of the.
Yeah.
That was a funny scene though.
Yeah. Yeah. Like and then there was also like The Rock was talking to Sean William Scott. Like, what was that line he said? Like, oh man, I was having sex with my girlfriend last night and I puked all over her tits or whatever. Like, I don't even just weird lines like that, which like I was like, wait, did he really just say that? Like, you know,
There was some
very
weird shit,
uncharacteristic.
yeah.
Like really pretty disgusting, but you know. And then at one point he's talking about baby farts. It's just like, oh.
Huh.
But then what's weird about this movie though is that like while there's all this absurd, crazy like shit going on, there's also a lot of like poignant stuff as well. Like I do think that this movie is actually pretty smart. Like maybe a little too smart for its own good. But it's kind of like an all equal target type of thing where he kind of just like takes the shit out of everyone, you know, like on the left and the right, and like anybody who's like an extremist and all that stuff. And like, but then there's all these themes of like involving like war trauma and stuff. And like Justin Timberlake's character has this sort of surreal, I guess it's like a whole trip sequence, I want to say, where he like lip syncs that one Killer's song.
Oh, I love this. Is like probably my favorite
Yeah.
part of the movie was. I even just like
Yeah.
YouTube that scene every now and then, just because I like that song in general, and I just like the little music video they put together for it. It's really great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a poignant moment because it's like he you know, injects the drug and then he collapses and then he goes kind of through this sort of decadent, like dreamlike sequence, kind of like The Big Lebowski in a way, but I actually thought this was more effective than that. And then like towards the end,
he is like all like fucked up going out, walking out, but also doing awesome Justin Timberlake dance moves, like because
oh yeah, it's great. And Justin Timberlake actually like, his performance in this movie, when he was in this movie, it was kind of sort of early in his acting career when he was like sort of he wasn't quite comfortable as an actor yet, but I actually feel like this role was like probably one of his stronger early roles, like particularly kind of like particularly in that scene. I mean, his narration, even though his narration was unnecessary, he delivered it well, I guess,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, it wasn't his fault
also,
he had to do that.
Yeah. And then also like kind of during the end of the dance like scene or whatever, or the dream sequence, he kind of stops singing, but the music continues going on, and then he's just kind of standing there, and all the ladies behind him sort of just like sink down to the ground, and he's just kind of standing there, and
all
it's almost like
he's fading out.
yeah,
you know,
very somber. And then it's kind of like, oh well, he's kind of in a drug-induced daze, and which makes sense because earlier in the movie they sort of established what he used to be, and now he's kind of at a point where he doesn't have an identity anymore, and he's just kind of alone, which is really like kind of a beautiful like symbolic moment. And so this movie has a lot of really neat little moments in it like that, you know. And it's got a unusual soundtrack too, like a lot of Moby tracks and a lot of like European songs. It's got that one really depressing song by Blur, and then I think like there's like a Radiohead song in there somewhere, I think. Like, but I didn't really understand like the way they used the music, but it was done effectively. I mean, kind of in the same way they did it with Donnie Darko. Like the movie definitely has a memorable soundtrack.
They tried to do that for sure in this.
Yeah. And then there were just some also like there were some really well directed sequences that were like surreal and strange and unusual, like where like the characters would be saying these like strange things, but the way the scenes looked were really like sophisticated and fancy. And so yeah, lots of tonal whiplash. Let's see, there's that really disturbing scene where The Rock gets confronted by that one chick who was like surveilling him, who's like this obsessed fan, and she like what does she say? Like, I want to suck your dick.
Yeah.
Let me suck your dick or I'll kill myself. Like,
Yeah, she
that
was
was
like, pull your pants down right now. They were like in the middle of
Yeah.
like Venice Beach or whatever. And she was like, pull your
yeah,
pants down right now. I want to suck your dick right now. Or I'll kill you.
yeah. And like just things like that, and like the whole idea of like these characters kind of being like in their own way, like these weird type of commodities or something. Let's see.
Yeah, and then there is that fact too that was throughout. I guess I don't know why, but like Justin Timberlake was a sniper of some sort in the present day, like, which is I guess they have. It seems like they have just kind of like lifeguard snipers posted all around the city, just to pop people that are making trouble. And that lady got popped because she pulled a gun on she started pointing it at the Rock too. So he pulled it right there and Rock just bolted.
That was nuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then the Rock kept on doing this weird thing, like whenever he like got like entered into like a state of anxiety, he would start like shaking and
fidgeting
weird.
his hands and shit.
Yeah, you know. But then like it was so like counteractive to how he acted later on in the movie, where suddenly he kind of got really like brave and was like, we have to get out of here and blah 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 blah. And it was,
I was a little confused around that point, if we're
I was,
far into the discussion yet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The last half an hour is about when the movie kind of loses me, because like, let's see, Sean William Scott saves the Taylor dude, the Jesus looking guy, from committing suicide, and then they steal an ATM at some point, and then his brother winds up like being kidnapped by like arms dealers or something. Christopher Lambert shows up. Yeah. Christopher Lambert, you know, aka Vercingetorix.
Yeah. Forehead.
Yeah, Mr. Forehead. You know, he doesn't wear a wig in this movie, unfortunately, but that's all right. Let's see. Oh, did you guys catch Eli Roth's little cameo?
Yeah. Which one was he?
He played the guy that got shot on the toilet.
I didn't catch it. No.
It was really quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another thing that happens in this movie. There's that whole like sweep of, you know, when they're trying to retain the Sean William Scott character or whatever. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. And then there's like, let's see what else happens. I mean, there's just a million different things that happen in this movie. There's that one chick from The Crow who, again, pretty much exists in the movie to just spout doomsday prophecies again and again. There's Wallace Shawn plays a conspirator he's a Nobel Peace Prize winning scientist who invented this weather technology that was intended to curb the negative effects of the global climate change that came on from the nuclear bombs. But then he ends up conspiring with the Marxists to take down the government, which is like, I didn't really understand that character's motivation other than I guess he was just supposed to be some evil bad guy, which is kind of funny because it's Wallace Shawn, you know. Let's see, Kevin Smith shows up as like a Karl Marx lookalike. Simon something. Like Simon Empty. He had some weird name.
Simon Theory.
Simon's Theory, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff going on in this movie. Let's see. So then at the end, the clones.
So I was confused. It's like, okay, well, at the end they're all in this Zeppelin because I believe the plan is to just like, was it to kill everyone down there and have all the rich society people survive in the Zeppelin?
That was my impression, yeah.
Yeah, so like all the main characters that we've been introduced to are all for some reason in the Zeppelin, right? Like,
yeah.
Even if they died previously, it seems. Is that, or am I just missing? Like, I thought like a bunch of these characters that were in the Zeppelin got killed. Or
well, I know
a bunch of because that's one of the things is there was just a lot of characters to keep track of too. So
yeah.
I couldn't tell who by the time they were in the Zeppelin, this is when The Rock got his confidence and shit back. So I was just confused if like there was some type of, again, they're dealing with time and different dimensions. So it's like, is the Zeppelin a whole like, and cloning? It's by this point kind of revealed and that they're not twins. It's like a temporal anomaly type thing.
Right, like, and they're made up of the same matter, and they don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen if the matter touches it, like if the matter like occupies the same space or whatever, if that's going to mean the end of the world or whatever. Like, they don't know what it means.
Yeah, so what was the whole deal with this, I guess, was that the twins of Sean William Scott, they weren't twins, they were the same person that went through one of those warps that the energy field was creating. Because by the way, that German science scene was just so weird.
That was really weird.
Like they all looked funky. It was the inconceivable guy from
Wallace Shawn.
yeah, he was, and then what's his face from Quigley?
Oh yeah,
that? The guy.
yeah, looking very Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, and they were just like so weird, that whole aesthetic of them. Like it's like
it is
super futuristic-y when the other rest of it was like a grimy futuristic-y setting.
Well, that's another thing that's like you'd be in these, you know, kind of skeezy locations of like these Marxist group warehouses and stuff where like, oh yeah, and then the tape, there's like a tape of the racist cop that gets stolen by the Sarah Michelle Gellar character, but the reason she steals it is because she thinks she's stealing a sex tape when she's in reality it's like heavy duty like political motivated crime committed by the police, like Strange Days level. Like, oh
shit, there's so much. I just lost track of whose tape is whose and what. There's a bunch of Michelle Gellar's.
Well, that's another thing. There's so many plot twists. Like, there's like a plot twist in every scene.
Because the Rock is initially struck with amnesia and he's dating. So he's initially. In this story-wise, he's dating a senator's daughter, but when he comes out of amnesia, he starts getting with Sarah Michelle Gellar. So like, she knows who he is because he's a famous movie star, and blackmails him into sex tapes, you know. And that's
which is something that, like, at one point would have been something that, you know, this country would have taken seriously, but I guess we don't really care about that anymore.
No. Shit. So there's so many threads that just get like. So yeah, I mean, I guess what Sean William Scott, and he was the same guy because they're going through the warps. They're testing science. They made a point that monkeys can't go through it. Their souls aren't big enough or something.
Yeah.
Humans are the only,
very clear.
Humans are the only ones that can go through. Of course, it has to be a rock star or a movie star. I mean, The Rock.
Yeah.
And so him and Sean William Scott are the ones sent through.
Yeah.
They return They go back in time 69 minutes, both copies of themselves. So there's two copies in one timeline, kind of thing.
Which I love how it had to specifically be 69 minutes.
Yeah.
As if they couldn't like fit, and because this movie is already like stuffed to the brim with like sex jokes and like you know, vulgarity and
like Sarah Michelle Gellar's a porn star who's one of the blackmail one of the
Why is her name Krista now?
I don't know.
She says, if you want to fuck me, you can fuck me now.
Right, yeah. And like there was that prop, like her blackmail, like what she wanted was $1 million in props. It wasn't her, it was like the terrorist people, more or less, wanting $1 million in Prop 69 to be voted yes. Because of some political shit I wasn't really following either.
It's not even that. If they like summarized it in like a 5-minute period, and it's not even worth going over because it's so confusing anyway, and it involves characters that get that were already introduced and like don't even like end up doing much, and like yeah, I don't know. Like half the characters switch personalities in the last like 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, when they're all up in that balloon.
Yeah, there's like that dance scene where like The Rock and Mandy Moore and Sarah Michelle Gellar are just like doing their weird shit.
Didn't
And
get
then,
that.
like,
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, didn't get that at all. There was a lot of things that just went over my head with this movie. I mean, maybe that was intentional, but the thing I think with the Sean William Scott character probably just had to do with like the fact that there was some sort of loop there, you know, I guess.
Yeah, because they did have the other Rock as well, except he was like
Yeah.
frozen or something. They showed him.
Yeah, which I'm kind of wondering like what that was supposed to mean. I mean, I don't know.
I think they had the understanding that it would fuck shit up.
Okay.
So I think they just kept him away from the other Rock, is what I was thinking.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, like there were aspects of that whole thing that were that seemed purposeful, but I don't know. And so I don't know. Then should we talk about the ending?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. So let's see. So eventually the two Sean William Scotts reconvene. One of them loses their eye somehow. I think it was in a shootout because at that point everybody's just killing each other.
Yeah, because at that point there's just anarchy in the streets.
Yeah, like
the cop one, because there's two different ones. There's a hostage one, I guess would be the easy way to say, and a cop one. The cop one was trying to flee Mexico but knew of the other one from quantum entanglement shit, and they actually crash into each other. And that's how the other one gets shot. Is after the crash, he starts remembering shit and just starts shooting people outside of the truck, and then in crossfire. And then the cop one tries to go and save him because he's like, "That's me," or "That's him," or whatever.
Yeah, and like eventually they kind of like they're like in the ice cream truck, and then it starts floating in the air, and the Jesus looking dude is on the top of the car, and then it's floating up, and they're like holding their hands or whatever, and I guess they don't know what's going to happen if they let go, and one of them wants to and the other one doesn't, and then one of them wants to commit suicide again with the whole suicide thing. Oh yeah, and then also The Rock pulls a gun on himself too and threatens to kill himself during like the whole dance scene. I forgot about that. Like and then I feel like there was another character that did that too, like sometime in between the part where that one lady threatened to commit suicide on Venice Beach and the part where The Rock threatened to commit suicide on the Zeppelin. I wasn't there like somebody else that tried to kill themselves somewhere in that span of time too, or I mean, or maybe that happened earlier. I mean, I do remember somebody else pointing a gun to their head, so but maybe I'm just imagining it.
No.
I mean, so many people put guns to their head. I don't know. And so then the Jesus guy grabs the rocket launcher.
Well, the Jesus guy does too. That's one of them. Because he's getting recruited. The Jesus guy, he's like, "Oh, I'm getting recruited," and then that's how Sean Williams, the cop Sean Williams Scott, gets, because he sees him through like the back window. That's how they get together. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's like the ultimate coincidence, but whatever. I mean, I guess it works out pretty well anyway. Like, but it's just kind of unusual since that character happened to have like been in contact with the Justin Timberlake character. It was just kind of like, whoa, you know. But then again, this movie is also kind of all about peculiarities and people like reconvening out of nowhere.
And it should be said, like around that time, it's also revealed that the Sean William Scott is a veteran of Fallujah as well as Justin Timberlake was, and it was friendly fire. Sean William Scott is the reason why Justin Timberlake's all fucked up. Is what it is, and
pretty much, which actually makes the Justin Timberlake character like even more sad, really. Like
and it ends too, like it's like because when they're ending and talking about it, like he was my best friend, even though he was the one that, you know, fucked him up and shit.
Yeah, that really that made me really sad, actually. Like, I didn't think that was funny at all. I thought that was actually like kind of a like fucked up thing to reveal so late in the movie, because like it does sort of totally put a new spin on the Justin Timberlake character, and it also does kind of change like the way the Sean William Scott character is supposed to sort of be perceived at that point in the movie. Like, that's so, and they did that like literally in the last minute of the movie too, after
Yeah.
the Zeppelin gets blown up by the Jesus guy with the rocket launcher.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know, the movie kind of messed with my emotions, like in kind of a bad way. Like, you know, just because like I do kind of have like sympathy for characters that go through shit like that, or like people that go through shit like that, you know. And so like, I don't know, moments like that were kind of like, oof. But
And the Jesus character does technically commit suicide.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, after he blows up the Zeppelin, he just jumps off the ice cream truck.
Don't know why.
That's about it. Yeah,
Might
I
as
guess.
well.
I guess at that point, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess he was going to commit suicide anyway. So, let's see. And then I guess. Oh, by the way, Zach, had you seen this movie before?
I started it like way back when it first came out, and it was too much for me at the time, so I stopped, and I never got back to trying it again.
Yeah.
But I'm
Okay.
glad I got to see it again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what were your thoughts on it this time around? Like,
Overall, I enjoyed it.
yeah.
Like, it was confusing. I understood it at the time I was watching it, but
Yeah.
don't ask me to recollect it. Like, tell someone what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. One of those.
It really is. Yeah. I think. I mean, I think I liked it. Okay, so I think. All right. I think rewatching it really did help, because so I've actually been like studying anarchy lately and anarchism, and like I actually think it's kind of an interesting idea. You know, I'm not trying to like spout like my own personal like political views or anything like that, but I actually think that this movie is trying to kind of say something about the concept of anarchism. I just don't really know exactly what it's trying to say, you know.
Yeah.
But the reason I feel that way though is because a lot of like the things that they sort of poke fun at in this movie, just a lot of the perspectives that they have regarding like just the supposed like nonviolent theoretical concept of Marxism, you know, whereas like in practice it ends up usually resulting in like the lower class actually suffering more than anyone. They hammer that home a lot in this movie, but then they also sort of indicate that a lot of like the reason why people get into fascism has to do with their own sort of personal traditions taking over their sense of logic and like disorienting them from like reality. That's sort of it's something that this movie sort of delves into as well a little bit, with particularly with how like the character of the Rock, the boxer character's sort of journey ends up going, you know, and how he ends up getting sort of used as like a political weapon, and then eventually he actually kind of gets on board with it, you know. But the word anarchism tends to get misused a lot, and I've misused it. I may have even misused it in this very review, you know. But I felt like when I was watching this film, whenever they like referred to anarchy or like the citizens being of an anarchistic mindset, they usually like kind of did it with like a wink and a nod. So I don't know. I feel like there is something to this movie. I think that like Richard Kelly like did have like a sincere vision. Yeah, I think I do admire it. But it's so confusing though. Like that's really, I don't know. I think it makes sense that he cut the film down a little bit, you know, but I also kind of feel like it's a little tricky to sort of, I mean, I don't know, watching the full like version of this film, it does feel like a more complete vision, you know, and it does make a lot more sense. But I still think that the theatrical version is probably like a good, like, if you like, for listeners out there, if you do want to watch this movie, I would probably recommend watching the theatrical version first, only because like there's no guarantee that this is going to be your type of movie. Honestly, it's like a weird combination of like Pulp Fiction and Strange Days and like Brazil and other movies. It just has like a strange sort of flow to it, and it's not going to appeal to a lot of people, I don't think. But I do think that the theatrical version, if memory serves, it's been a while since I've watched it, but if memory serves, I think the theatrical version did a good job of at least like being like distinct enough without, even though it is probably more confusing, it's like probably just as watchable. So, and it's shorter, so you don't have to waste as much time with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I got most of it from the theatrical version. I'm pretty sure that's the one I watched.
Yeah, I think so. The con version is worth seeing. It really is. But the theatrical cut is fine, I think, you know. I guess I'd give it a 3. I mean, I'm sort of divided again between 2 and 3, but I'll give it a 3 because it was well made enough and interesting enough and unique enough. And I do feel like if I rewatched it, I would like it even more. Like, even though, like, because every time I've rewatched it, I've liked it more and more. So that might be another suggestion for even though the movie's over 2 hours long. I mean, most people don't want to rewatch. They don't want to spend their lives rewatching movies that are longer than 2 hours. But this one might be interesting for some folks to rewatch. So might be rewarding.
That said, it's like it is by Donnie. It has like a lot of Donnie Darko, you know, type mind fuckery. So, and a lot of people watch that over and over again just because of that confusing aspect, which, you know, helps that movie, and it also, I would imagine, helps this movie.
Yeah, I think so.
And then, like, I liked this movie. Like, I remember watching it a while ago, I think when it first came out, and thinking it was pretty good, but yeah, I didn't remember a damn thing when I started the rewatch. But, you know, it slowly came back to me, like, oh, okay, yeah, this is that movie.
Yeah.
And I loved, and I'm even going to give it just a little more bump just because of that, because I like that Killer song as well. And that whole, I just loved that. It's probably my favorite scene was that Justin Timberlake music video.
Yeah, that was a beautiful scene.
Yeah. So I'm going to give it like a 3.5, just because I think it's, in my opinion, honestly, better than Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, maybe not like technically better, like the original, whatever, more precise cut of Donnie Darko, you know, his little flows better probably.
Yeah.
It works better as a movie, but I think this was more interesting at least.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Donnie Darko, but I think in some ways this movie is better than that. Yeah.
Yeah, because Donnie Darko is like dark or depressing or doesn't have like, while this one definitely has a lot more comedy and it's goofy comedy, it's at least has a bit of both. There's just a wide range of what the fuck to that was funny to his dark stuff as well. So
yeah. I think you're also like you're the type of person who's smart enough to like be able to keep up with a plot like this. I don't think the average person is necessary, because I think most people when they watch movies, they watch them more with a like, oh, impress me type of attitude, whereas you're somebody who's more interested in actually being invested in like the nuance of a movie like this. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I mean, I got going in probably too that just with the twin, like the twin thing, I was like, oh, this is probably going to be a time loopy, so I was able to keep track. I was like, oh, they're probably not twins.
Yeah.
Just because of the trippiness nature of it and shit. So I was going in with that mindset, where I think the general audience would try and follow a straight A to B plot, or expect a straight A to B plot, which this isn't.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it for the most part. I definitely want to rewatch it. I like to watch it high.
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah.
But yeah, I give it a 3. It's pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, there's definitely a good chance that I would probably end up giving it a 4 on another rewatch, because like I am starting to, I think, get the gist of it. Like but it did take me. I did have to kind of sit on it a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
It is sort of that type of thing, you know. And I think, like, I don't know, as we're talking about it, I am kind of thinking more and more about a lot of the things in it that I appreciated. So I don't know. I'd have to think about it more, but I'll stick with 3 for now. But there's a chance I'll bump it up to a 4. You know.
Yeah, me too. Even.
Yeah.
I mean, I went 3.5, but yeah, I'd bump it up probably with other reviewings if I get around to it.
Yeah, you know, I think the acting. I mean, a lot of the actors in this movie. I think because I was reading an interview, and I read that he chose them because he felt like a lot of these actors were like that their talents were kind of being underutilized in Hollywood, and that he saw things in them, like potential that he wanted to kind of fulfill. And what's interesting is that like a lot of actors like The Rock and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Seann William Scott, like they have a bright sense of charisma. And I feel like they were able to kind of tap into their more charismatic side more with this, which I liked, you know. I mean, maybe not so much Seann William Scott, but I don't know. I thought The Rock did, though.
I mean,
and Sarah
that
Michelle
makes
Gellar.
sense, too, because it would be The Rock's early acting career as well.
Yeah.
Because it was definitely, he didn't look as jacked, you know. He
Yeah.
still looked like an action star of like a movie, but like,
Yeah.
I liked his look in this more than what he looks like now, because I can't picture him now in anything else but an action star movie.
Yeah.
But that look of The Rock, I could see him being, you know, because he did that not well, because like, he was first getting his first acting chops in, but that nervous shit.
Yeah.
Nice and, you know.
Yeah. There were some unique things he did. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I you know, took a little bit of a gamble choosing it, but I wanted to watch it again, and I don't know, I thought it might kind of fit in with the tone of the movies we usually watch on this show, and I guess it sort of did, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. And also, like, I don't know, people like Con, like the Con Festival crowd they're such stuck up losers. Like, they don't even like
Right.
they don't know shit, dude. They like are always booing like Lars von Trier movies and stuff. So like, I don't even care if they like this movie or not.
Right. Yeah.
If they boo this movie, that's actually probably a sign of a good thing. Like that might actually be like the best kind of compliment. So, you know, I mean, I love the films that they have at those festivals, and I typically tend to love the movies that win the Palme d'Or. But let's not forget, though, that Fahrenheit 9/11 won the Palme d'Or. You know, the same year that Mary, a Full of Grace, and like several other movies came out that I thought were more deserving. I mean, not that Fahrenheit 9/11 is bad or anything, but Palme d'Or, like, what the fuck? I don't know. But, oh well. So I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Wow. Can't believe it. We finally, yeah, that was long. All right. So yeah, I guess now we shall pick our picks for next time. And we're going with a 90s theme, and I'm just gonna go first because I want to get my title out of the way. I had to write it down because I just couldn't remember it. It's kind of a complicated title, so you guys might want to write it down too. Okay. But it's called Mika Droid Robokill Beneath Disco Club Layla.
Okay.
I don't know what it's about. I'm just choosing it based on the title.
One more time.
Yeah.
Mika Droid Robokill Beneath Disco Club Layla.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. That title just sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a unique one for sure.
Yeah. And I did check to see if it was on YouTube, and it is. So
Okay.
I don't know how long it'll be on there. Hopefully it won't get taken off. You know, hopefully we won't have a devil story situation again. But
yeah.
it is on YouTube as of right now. So we'll see.
All right. Guess I'll go next.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. 1 sec.
I'm gonna keep going with the video game theme.
Hmm.
Another fighting game.
Ooh.
Double Dragon.
Awesome.
Nice. Nice.
Excellent. I haven't watched that one for a long time. I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I probably haven't seen it since the 90s. So
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was like 7 when I last watched that one. Dang. That was the first thing I ever saw Robert Patrick in. You know.
All right. Let me see. My just gonna look here.
Yeah, no worries.
Is, no, it's. I'm gonna go with The Stupids.
Okay. Cool.
I might have seen this a long time ago.
Yeah. I
Tom Arnold.
Yeah. Yep.
okay. I don't think I saw that one, but I'm up for it. The Stupids with Tom Arnold. I'm ready. I like Tom Arnold. He's pretty funny, actually. So
Yeah.
excellent. All right, cool. Well, all right. These are again some 3 very random choices. Double Dragon, The Stupids, and Robo Kill Mikatroid, or whatever the fuck. I can't wait. All right. Well, I guess until next time, peace, love, harmony, and everything in between. The end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay
Yeah.
safe. See you later.
Yeah. Have a good night.